Hey guys, we wanted to give a shout out to some of the people we have met while recording the Nashville Dads podcast. On this episode, we wanted to highlight Brandon with Nashville Restaurant Radio. If you're interested in the Nashville food scene, this is the podcast for you. Brandon has some of the most influential people in the Nashville restaurant community on his show. So check it out. Follow them on Instagram at Nashville Restaurant Radio. Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. This week, we have on cable Beck of Fudge Daddy. We talk about fudge recipes, having a baby in the NICU, and how we ended up in Nashville. We hope you enjoy. Yeah, sometimes we do official intros. Yeah. Sometimes we don't. So
I was like, I feel like this. We were just talking.
This is how it goes.
This is how it goes, man. We try to keep it chill. We'll ask you questions about your life.
Yeah.
So it's very.
I do have one. All right, it's about your name.
Yes,
Cable.
it is my legit name.
Wow. Okay. And how did you become Cable?
The very shortest version is it was a last name. No one was left to carry it on. I was given it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Your parents weren't just really huge X-Men fans from the 90s?
Nope.
No.
Okay. All right. That's what I was thinking.
Well, and that alone tells me more about you, because most people, it's like they think like TV or something. It's like if someone mentions X-Men, I already know you're more my people.
Pretty much. Yeah. So you're not the son of Scott Summers and Jean Grey?
No.
Interview's over. All right.
Get out.
Not a time-traveling bandit. That's fine. This is going to be a different interview now.
I remember Devin saying, "Oh yeah, Fudge Daddy's here. His name is Cable." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, awesome.
Well, at least like whenever you like in school, if the teacher was like Cable, you weren't like, "Oh, it must be the other Cable." You always knew it was you.
Yeah. Well, and so that is more or less the reason why my sister and I have more unique names. My mom, her name was Kathy. She grew up having a lot of Kathys in the same class. She didn't want that for us.
Okay.
Now I just don't ever get to have a mug with my name on it.
Basically, yes. Yeah. Yep. I'm right there with you.
I was in Vegas several years ago now, actually. And we went to, I think it was like the M&M shop or something like that. And there was a giant wall, 50 feet long, full of mugs with everybody's name on it. And I just got a picture of me standing, like, glaring at the phone and sent it to my parents and my sister and said, "This is because of you."
This is reality. Yep. Justin, you're probably the only one who can go to a gift shop and find your name.
Probably.
If it's a Devin, it's an I every time.
Yeah.
I'm Devon. So just Devon doesn't work.
Why do you have to be such an outcast?
It's because of my parents. I think they told me they didn't want me to be called Devi because, if it's an I, you can actually go to Devi.
I've never heard anyone do that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I mean, I'm not justifying them. I'm explaining. So there's a difference here.
Fair.
So what is your sister's name?
Celeste.
Celeste.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that name before.
It's
but very
you hear
rare.
It more now, but I've known a handful in my life.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
That's a pretty cool name.
Yep. I've only known of one other Cable, and it's actually someone else that's in the family.
Oh, okay.
They just like me, it was given as a middle name as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, is Cable your middle name?
Mm-hmm.
What's your first name? Fudge?
Yes. No, let's go ahead and dox me. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Deleted from podcast already.
I don't care. It's not that hard to figure. But Weldon.
Weldon? Okay. Yeah. Which also not going to find out a guest.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's going to be a hard one as well. Yeah. Weldon. I don't think I've ever heard of that name before.
Yeah. I know my dad, because... let's just dig into the whole thing.
Let's do it. We've started it.
So I am the fourth WCB in a row.
Okay.
My great-grandfather and grandfather were senior, junior. My dad got my grandfather's middle name, and I got my dad's first name. But I am not technically a junior, so that they didn't want to call me junior, and Mom didn't want two Weldons running around, so I got called by my middle name.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and you were talking about in class, don't have to worry about Caleb. But you do have to worry about Caleb's, which is really fun when you're in a class with two Caleb's and a Cable. I don't remember what grade that was, but that was a fun year.
That was real fun. Yeah. I think I had, growing up, Devin's also a girl's name. So it's just like, I don't know. If I'm in if you say Devin, I probably did something realistically. and it wasn't good. So I'm
Right.
just assuming you're yelling at me.
Devin's a girl's name too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I think I've known more guy Devins than girl Devins,
Yeah.
but I've known both.
Yep.
I've never heard of that.
Yep. I feel like if it's a girl, it's normally with an I
Gotcha.
from personal experience.
Well,
So.
a girl's version of me is Justine.
Justine. Yeah.
Just a
Or Justina.
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 An
Dad
awful
joke. Didn't.
Awful joke.
That's a good dad joke.
Is
though.
it? Well, what makes
Yeah,
a good
because
dad joke?
It's horrible.
Yeah, I guess so. If it makes you laugh, then I guess it's a good dad joke. Is that if it makes a dad laugh, then
Yeah.
Cable, you had the great idea of why don't we have more dad jokes
Yes.
on the podcast? So I've been going back through and trying to get dad jokes from everyone.
I know. I started listening to the podcast, and I was listening to every episode. I'm like, it's a podcast. It's got dad in the name. It's
Yep.
by, for, about dads.
Yep.
How does no one
missing
have,
out.
like, why is there no dad joke
I know.
for each guest?
Did you
Because we
think-
ourselves are just jokes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The
That's
joke
what
is
it
the
is.
podcast. That's it's very meta.
Yep.
So
This whole thing has been an elaborate
the
dad joke.
joke is the fact that this still happens. So did you come with a dad joke prepared?
Oh yeah, it's my favorite one.
Okay, what is it?
Although my sister and I like constantly call and send each other stuff.
Yeah.
But so my favorite one. What do you call a cow that's just given birth?
What?
Decaffeinated.
Stop it. That's so bad.
Yes. Yes.
That's good. That's good. Oh, I don't know what my
proud of
favorite
you.
dad joke is.
I don't know. I do remember seeing some reels on Instagram of sons saying a good dad joke, and the only person laughing is the dad.
Yeah.
And he's
Everybody
like, I'm
else
so
is just
proud.
groaning,
Yeah.
face palming.
There's some videos of it's like two dads sitting down and they try to tell each other dad jokes to make the other one not laugh as they drink coffee.
That would be
That's a good like
good
dad
to
joke
watch.
off.
Yeah.
So I need to have a running list of good dad jokes, but I don't usually have one. Should keep it with me.
I just need to have them. I just need to look them up.
Yeah, this podcast isn't about you.
Yeah. But Cable. So, Fudge Daddy. How did that start?
So probably the place to start is so my son was born last year in August. Actually, he's coming up on a year now.
Yeah.
Very soon. Yeah. So he came 7 weeks early.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was born at Vanderbilt, but 7 weeks he had to spend a good amount of time in the NICU there.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, everyone at Vanderbilt, fantastic people. Like, don't have any complaints about anything there. Like, everyone was great all the time. But so he was born 7 weeks early. Ashley had to have an emergency C-section.
Yeah.
She was there a few days, which that was a whole ordeal into itself. But once she was able to go home, hospitals aren't the most comfortable places to just hang out.
Yeah.
So while she was still doing a lot of recovering, we would go stay there a couple hours as long as we could until she just couldn't handle anymore. We'd go home.
Yeah.
Well, the way we go to Vanderbilt takes us by the food truck repair place that's just outside of downtown. Going back and forth past it several times a day, you and spending hours at the NICU doing nothing but just sitting there and holding him and having nothing else to do, your mind wanders.
Yep.
And eventually the whole, what would you do if came up, and it just kind of spiraled from there. Like I said, 4 weeks is a long time, especially when you're doing nothing else. But yeah, it kind of went from, well, what would you do if, to us thinking, well, I like to make fudge. I don't like false modesty. Like, I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And just kind of looking in, like, what would you have to do to start a business? Like, all this stuff. And it kind of went, by the end of it, we were like, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And, of course, coming up with the name was kind of part of that, too. But where it started with him, like me becoming a dad, it played into it.
That's
Awesome.
cool.
Also, I mean, let's be honest, like, it's good for marketing. Like, people notice the name and it's a little tongue in cheek. You get people to laugh. So,
Yeah, that's a great name.
You can never shave your beard though, because it's part of the brand.
yeah, well, I've been threatened if I ever do that anyway. So,
Really? Does your
Yes.
wife or does Ashley really like your beard?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am not allowed to be facial hairless.
Okay. Okay.
What's the reasoning?
I look 12.
Yeah.
Same here. Same.
Keep the stubble at all times.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, what happened? Did you lose weight? No, just trim my facial hair.
Yep.
That's all I did.
I accidentally shaved like one of my sideburns too short. So I was like, well, I might as well just shave it really close down. And I came out of the bathroom, and Haley looked at me like, who are you?
What have you done?
Yeah, she's like, I don't like this. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
This is my face until it goes back. So you're
I
welcome.
feel real confident now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think my dad had a mustache whenever my older brother was born, and he shaved his mustache, and my brother like refused to be held by him because he was like, "Who are you? Like, what is this?"
I've seen so many videos online. I actually just saw one on TikTok earlier today of it was a teenage girl reacting to her dad, and like she was like, "I don't like it," and it ended up showing a picture later. She was crying, but yeah, so many babies. Like there was one I saw years ago. The dad completely shaved his beard off, and the same, like the baby didn't recognize him. Yeah. He ended up having to wear like a scarf around his head,
just so
he could hold his child. Basically, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, have you had the beards like since the birth?
Oh yeah,
okay.
I don't know how many years at this point. Like it's I've had it. I first started growing facial hair in college, but I did the thing where like I think every guy that grows facial hair does. You do it like in stages, like you do this.
Yep,
just over time.
Your son has known you just as having a beard the entire time. Yeah, that would. I'm always curious as Ada grows if I should do that just to see
just
her
see what happens. Just a social experiment.
That was actually something interesting while we were in the hospital. You know, it was still time. If you were in the hospital, mask was on.
Yeah.
But once we were kind of in more, like once he had his own room, they told us we could, like the nurses and staff and everyone still kept their masks on, but they said like while we were there, we could take it off as long as we were in the room if we wanted. Mm-hmm. So that way he could get used to seeing our faces without the masks.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a difference it made with me.
Yeah. Yeah, right, yeah.
But
how long was he in, like, what's the process of NICU? Was he like, was he like in a place where you could still hold him even though he was born super young? Was he in like, what was that like?
So, yeah, that was, and
not what you anticipate whenever your partner's pregnant.
Right, yeah. So the first several days, it may have been a week or so, they had him in the little incubator, and you couldn't really take him out the first couple days, if I remember correctly. Like, so this was almost a year ago, and obviously emotions were high and lack of sleep and all that.
Yep.
But, you know, obviously you had to wash your hands and all that every time. But I could reach in there and touch him, and I think it was a couple days before I could finally, like actually hold him, because one, you know, he's in the incubator, it's keeping him warm and everything, but also they had all the breeding, feeding tubes, just all the stuff, and that was you know, tough. But as tough as it was for me, so part of the whole thing with Ashley having the emergency C-section, her blood pressure had gotten so high, like she actually kind of lost vision for a few days.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So he was born on Wednesday. Saturday morning was the first day she felt well enough that like she could move in from the bed she was into a wheelchair and go see him. And even then she still couldn't really like visually see him. She just saw rough colors. But she was able to go and like see and hold him. But for the first 3 days, she just couldn't.
Man.
Which, you know, I would go and spend time with him as much as I could, but also was like I'm alternating, which that was something really nice. So he was in the Stallman NICU, which is the one that's connected to like
it's the older version.
Yeah, and it's connected like I forget what the department is called, but like where the moms usually stay when they're recovering and all that. So it wasn't too far, but like I'm kind of running back and forth, and I wanted to spend time with him, but I also felt bad, like being away from either one of them, but also the fact that like I was getting to go and see him when she couldn't. And like it wasn't even like I could go take the phone and hold it up so she could see him. She couldn't see.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's one thing whenever you have a kid, you realize that like your kid coming out healthy, coming out at all, everyone's staying alive. Like I viewed that as a given until we started to give birth. Like our oldest child's birth was, I think, 10 days early, and it was a 26-hour labor. And so they're like, what's your birth plan? And I'm like, none of this. None of this is our birth plan. What do you think you should do?
Yeah.
I don't, like, literally, this is like 10 days earlier than we anticipated.
Why would they even ask you? Like, it's
Because they have to.
It's 10 days
You know,
early,
but,
though.
like, but it's also, that's not like NICU realm. But, you know, like
Right.
with our oldest child, our birthing process started with my wife's water breaking. That's normally the last phase of labor.
Right.
That's what happens. So yeah, you're sitting there and you're at home and you're like, your water broke. Wait, this isn't supposed to happen until like 2 weeks from now.
Right.
What do we do? So like you get into a situation and people are like, so how's your wife? And you're like, well, she can't see today. And my other baby's across the hall in an incubator. How are you doing? I'm not going to process that question for about a year.
Yeah.
So, I'm just glad they're both still alive, I guess, is the reality.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
So how long did it take for her vision to fully come back?
a week-ish.
Man.
I'd have to ask her. I don't
Yeah.
really remember. I
That's
remember.
got to be so hard to not be able to see your own
Yeah.
child at the very beginning of his birth.
That's
Yeah.
a rough start. That's a
Yeah.
rough start.
Oh
Yes.
man,
But back to your original question.
Yeah.
Like, so that was funny that he was there in the Stallman has kind of like a couple different rooms. There's like the big room that all the babies are kind of in, and there's a bunch of nurses that are kind of alternating, and all the families, like all the parents, because I don't know if the rules have changed, probably not, but right at the time it was still just like the parents are the only ones that are allowed to come there. They, you'd have a stall, like, here's the little incubator. You can sit on whatever side. You have enough space for, like, an office chair, and then, like, the next one. Because there's just several babies in there, and
Yeah.
everybody's kind of having to be in there at the same time.
Yep.
Like, they've only got so much space. But he was there probably about 2 weeks, I want to say.
Okay.
And from there, he was able to get off of a lot of I think some of the tubes and all that kind of stuff. And he moved to the little smaller room, which was a little less cramped. And it was kind of like, this is the next stage before you start moving out of at least the Stallman NICU.
Yeah.
And he was there, I don't remember how many days, but the big thing in that one was they wanted him to be able to get to where he could regulate his own temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And once that finally happened, they moved him from there to. I'm trying to remember the process now because he was in several different rooms at one point. But he moved from there to his own room. Okay, I think I remember the order now. That was like the still the NICU, but it was over in the children's hospital part now.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was just having a random memory. I remember one of the nights I ran home to take care of our dog and came back. But when I came back, it was after visiting hours. So I came in and I told him, I was like, I need to get to the NICU. This was before I knew that there was Stallman NICU and then children's.
Yeah.
So they sent me to the children's hospital, which at fair, like I told them NICU, they sent me to the NICU.
They sent you to one.
Yes. Well, I get there, it's pitch black, or not pitch black, but like there's no lights on in the little lobby for that floor. I don't know where I'm at. I just know I'm not in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a little sign on the phone saying, if you need help, call whatever the number to reach, like the front desk of the whole hospital, right?
Yeah.
And I did. I told him, I was like, I'm trying to get back to the other NICU, wherever that's at. And the person more or less told me where to go. But the problem was I had to walk through locked doors, and there's no one around.
Yeah.
Someone finally showed up. They unlocked the door and told me where to go. And I started going that. I don't know where I ended up. I'm sure I ended up in places that were supposed to be like
Right,
off limits. Yeah. I'm just like, it's 9:00 at night.
I don't know.
I'm just wandering around the halls. I finally ended up at the right place.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, I recognize this place. I know where to go from here.
Yeah.
But I am 100% sure I was in places I shouldn't have been.
Yep. It's weird whenever my second child had seizures whenever she was born. So yeah, whenever you know the internal map of a hospital and you're like, I did not want this knowledge.
Right.
I did not want this information, but I'm very efficient at it now.
Yeah, it's like, look, okay, we got to go from here to here.
Yeah,
We need to
pretty
go
much.
there.
Yep.
And turn left there. Yeah.
Yep. I did not want to know the inner workings of Vandy's Children's Hospital, but I do now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially the NICU. That's
yes.
always
Yeah. But so yeah, he moved from the Stallman NICU to his own room, and we were there. Once again, timeline is
Yeah,
iffy.
I don't care too much about
it was-
accuracy, just
yeah, it was-
experience, you know?
start to finish. It was 4 weeks to the day that he got out of the hospital.
Okay.
But so we were in the NICU over at the Children's Hospital, and he was doing really well there after several days, and finally it got to a point they had sent another family that had twins home a couple days before we left that room because they were doing well enough and they needed room for more. They needed more rooms for other NICU babies, and he was actually doing well enough. They were like, we need this room. We're going to send you down to whatever this other floor was. I think it was more for older kids. Now, I don't mean like
PICU?
teenagers. Sure, I don't know.
That's usually the next level up.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Well,
the PICU.
It was. I know it was older kids, but I still think it was probably under like 8 or something like that. But it was
Gotcha.
still like high level of like care.
Like nurse availability, pretty much.
all that kind of stuff. Which I keep saying he's going to be a cult leader when he grows up. He just attracts everyone to him.
Really?
Yes, like every time we went, all the nurses were fighting over who gets to take care of him and all that. And like every day since then, people just flock to him
Really?
all the time. And of course, he loves it. He loves
of
being
course.
in the attention. Yeah, so I keep saying he's going to be a cult leader when he gets older.
Just charismatic.
Right. But look, as long as it's a good cult, I don't
Yeah.
care.
No, it doesn't
Is
take
there
too
such a
much
thing
advantage.
Right.
as a good cult?
Oh, how cynical of an answer can we give? But I'm actually fascinated by NICU experiences because I usually only ask the mom what it was like, and so thank you for being willing to discuss
Yeah.
what it's like at all. Because the reality of your life then was you're going from seeing your wife who had such high blood pressure she couldn't physically see to your baby who was born 7 weeks early,
Right.
and you're trying to keep your cool
Yeah.
for both of that and I feel like in those moments whenever my daughter had seizures, I feel like I was just like almost detached. It was more just like, all right, I'm here to meet needs,
Yeah.
and I will figure out myself whenever it makes sense to figure out myself.
Your mental state does not factor at all beyond just the ability to like remember
Correct.
the things you need to remember.
Yeah, and then sometimes you show up at the wrong NICU.
Yeah.
and you
I
make
was going to say, was your anxiety and stress just out the roof?
Honestly, I don't even think it was. I've always been pretty good about being able to just like focus on like this is what needs to happen. I'll
gotcha.
deal with
Yeah.
which the Dad's podcast. Y'all talk about mental health a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's probably not good things about that, but like
Correct, yes.
in the moment when you need to, like being able to kind of separate is useful.
It is. It's the hope that later on
You'll
you
have-
can come back and be like, what did we just do?
Yeah.
Like our second child had a spinal tap when she was 6 days old. In the moment, you weren't like, think about this. You just look at your wife and you're like, all right, cool. The doctors are doing, you go through logical steps, right?
Right.
All right, the doctors are doing spinal tap because they need to do these tests. We need to be out of the room so they can do this spinal test. Okay,
Right.
what are you doing? We're now walking back into the room. Are you thinking about what that means? No,
Right.
I'm not. I'm responding politely and calmly as much as I know how to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I was, of course, having to deal with Ashley, all her recovery stuff going on
Yeah.
as well. Because, I mean, there was a whole lot. Like, I didn't even go into all the details of what she had going on.
Yeah.
But it, like,
If she had to have an emergency C-section,
Yeah.
things were not going well.
yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to say everything just because
Of
I don't
course.
know if
It's
she
not your
wants
story to
but
tell. Yeah.
There was a lot.
Mhm.
But, yeah, it was just, it was an experience.
Yeah. And it's one of those where you can't really plan for it. You can't prep for it. You just know you're there and you just hope the doctors you're around. It's very lucky to live in a city in which there are enough qualified doctors and people here in which you can go to the NICU. Your child and your wife are both still alive.
Yes.
And that's great.
Yes, and that once again, like I said, the people at Vanderbilt, like I could not have asked for better teams.
Yep.
It was, yeah.
Well, that's a rocky start to having a kid. I'm glad you're on the other side of it, but man, what an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What work were you doing at that point in time? Like, what job were you holding down?
So software development.
Oh, okay.
And I tried doing. There was 1 week. So he was born the first week. I took the whole next week off because it was still just chaos.
Yeah.
The week after that, I think, is when he had his own room. Because I think that was the week I was like, we're going to go to the hospital. I'm just sitting there most of the time anyway. I'm going to try working.
Yeah.
That was a stupid idea.
It was logical.
Yeah.
Kind
Not
of.
realistic. Because, I mean, it was still a lot of, like, the nurses coming in and kind of explaining what's going on. And, like, I'm trying to work, but I'm also like, this is important stuff. Like, crucial to life.
Yep, pretty much.
So I need to pay attention to this. And, like I said, I tried that week, and afterwards I talked to my bosses, which my boss, my teammates, all that, they were very understanding and very kind throughout all this. They were like, no, we completely get it. Like, you do what you got to do.
Yep.
Yeah. And if they weren't, they were dicks.
Basically, yeah.
I mean,
Your kid's only in the NICU.
Yeah.
Right.
Because come on, anybody.
Yeah. No, your son's in the NICU. Great. So you think Friday?
Right.
I'll get that?
Yeah. I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, so you're busy all week. So weekends are
Right.
available? That's great. Do you do Fudge Daddy full time, or do you still do software development?
Yeah, so I haven't told my family this yet, but yeah. So June is when I started going full time doing this.
Okay, cool.
I
It's
love
a big step.
Yeah, it is, and it's stressful, but I've enjoyed it, and nothing against the people I was working for before. Like I loved all my teammates. Like as far as management, I have never had a job that everyone above me was so like kind, so like actually caring about the people working for them and all that kind of stuff. Like the management team was the best I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
But and I mean they were very flexible with everything going on, but it was still just one of those like between that Fudge and Rin, like it was just something had to give, and that job was very flexible. But this one just gives me even more flexibility.
Cool.
Gives you complete control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to worry about being on call at this time for a meeting to do this, like, because, if Ashley's not feeling good or something, like, and feeding, just all that stuff, it was, I'm having to sit there, like, there's occasionally times I was late to meetings or I'd forget about a meeting because I'm feeding him or I'm doing something.
Yeah, you're doing a ton.
Yeah. And so, this is just one of those, like, doing Fudge, like, if he's fussy or whatever, like if I need to, I can just set stuff down.
Yeah.
And I can, like, if nothing else, once he goes to sleep, I can do it then. Yeah.
So are you waiting to tell your family for a specific reason?
Not really. It's not that they weren't supportive, but it's definitely like, they were like, if you're thinking about doing this full, like, that's scary. Like, you're going to lose all your, because I did have great benefits. And all that. But I wanted to be able to do this for a good amount of, not a set amount of time, but just however long, and be like, look, I've been doing this full time now for however long. I've been able to continue supporting us doing this.
Yeah.
So why not go for it?
Yeah.
And what about your wife? She doesn't.
She is doing school again right now. So she's already got a couple degrees, but she was So I guess I should kind of tell the story of how we moved to Nashville in the first place.
Yeah.
So we were living in Raleigh in 2019. I was working doing software development there downtown. I don't know how much either of y'all know about software development. I was specifically, basically what I did was I wrote programs that would act like a person going and using whatever the thing the other developers were making. And just, it was basically checking for bugs. Like, here, make this test, go do, click this thing, go work through this process and go do this. And if it fails, something's broken. Because when this was written, it was working.
Gotcha.
So I was doing that. The company was struggling. They were letting a lot of people go. I got let go in September of 2019. And so I started looking for jobs continuing to do that because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But part of the problem was the job that I was going for usually was performed by people that had a lot more experience than me. At the time, I only had 2 years experience. I'm going up against most people minimum 5 years, if not 10 or more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't blame any of it. Like, I was getting interviews, but the companies were ultimately hiring people with more experience.
Yep.
I don't blame them for that. I mean, if you're going to pay someone the same 10 years, 2 years, like,
It's
yeah.
you can understand the logic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't make, go great for me. Like, didn't make
Yeah.
me feel great.
No,
but,
it didn't.
but so kept struggling. And so after a couple months of that, so I was like, okay, let's look other cities, other states even. And we started looking at Nashville. She was looking in Nashville as well. She went for history and anthropology. She was wanting to work at museums. She started looking various places in Nashville and ultimately got an interview at the historic house at the zoo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name of it.
Grassmere.
Yeah. And I think she had one phone interview, and they asked her to come out in person for an interview. And once they asked her to come out, I was like, I'm pretty sure you're going to get hired. Like, they're doing the background check. They're asking you to come all the way out here. Like, there's a really good chance.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was looking, and I started going through the hiring process for the company that I ultimately ended up working for. But at the time, this was before COVID and all that. They were like, okay, this is not a remote job. Like, you're going to need to be in person. I was like, yes. And by the time after the first interview, I think this was kind of going into the second, I was like, yes. I was like, she has just gotten hired at the museum at the zoo. We are moving out there. I would like to have a job when I come out there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be there one way or another. It would just be nice if I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I came out and they had me for another interview, and obviously ultimately, got hired. It was interesting though. We came out here. It was like, I think I came in January for my interview, and we came out. We got an Airbnb. I woke up the morning of my interview, looked outside. Oh, cool! There's snow on the ground. Oh crap! There's snow on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Is my interview still going to happen?
Oh yeah.
I was like, because Raleigh is roughly like east here. The climate is very similar, but I was like, we're in the South. When it snows, nobody
Everything
knows
shuts
what
down.
to do.
All
Yeah,
hell breaks
Pretty
loose.
much.
yeah. So
There's no milk, no bread, no water.
right. But thankfully it wasn't that bad. Like on the main roads, it was cleared off really well.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
able to go and still do the interview and all that. And the manager that I ended up meeting, his name was Brad. As soon as I met him and went through, I was like, I want to work for him. I don't care if
Yeah.
it's like in a different role. I want to work for him. Like his personality and charisma just drew you in. I was like, he is going to be a great person to work for.
Yeah.
And then, I met some of the people that would end up being my teammates too, and they were all fantastic too.
Nice. So you're originally from North Carolina?
Yeah.
What are your barbecue preferences? Yeah, getting into it.
No, so
They're known for
this is
vinegar.
Mustardy, vinegary, right?
Yeah.
so this is blasphemy to a lot of people.
Ooh.
I don't
Yeah.
like vinegar
Okay.
at all.
That's why you left. You kept walking into friend groups and be like, here's the barbecue, and be like, I'm full.
Yeah. Yeah, like we have pig pickings and all that, and I just kind of like pick at it a little bit.
Oh
and I'm
my
like,
gosh. Vinegar is a very unique flavor profile. You're not wrong.
I am not a big fan of like very strong flavors.
Okay.
And vinegar falls into that. And I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's not for me.
Whenever I think of North Carolina, the barbecue is always the.
Well, and there's even Eastern and Western North Carolina.
Ooh, I did not know
Yep.
that. What's the difference?
Western is closer to what you think of with typical barbecue sauce. I think it's like tomato based. I think it's got a little bit of spice to it.
Yeah.
Ashley grew up in the mountains. She'd be able to tell you that one better than I would. Like I say, I just grew up where I didn't like the barbecue.
That's fair. That's fair. I've tried to make fudge before. I've made it a couple times. What makes you like making fudge? It's definitely some chemistry, You got to know what you're doing. It's very easy to mess up. Trust me, I've done it before.
Yes. So everyone's either a baker or a chef, like a chef/cook. You either have very strict instructions that you follow to the T, or you just throw things together and make it work out. I am the former. If I don't have a recipe, at least like a recipe that I've got in my head,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to make something.
Okay.
Ashley is very much opposite. If there's instructions, she will mess them up.
It's almost like offensive to her that you dare tell her.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Noted.
There's some truth to that. But yeah, so if I don't have instructions, I'm just not going to know what to do. Right. Like even making my own fudge, like some of the ones I do every week, I know those, but I've got a Google Doc, like all my recipes. And every time I go look, I'm like, okay, this is what I need. This is how much, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, fudge is very finicky. It's very meticulous. If you change one little thing, it can either seize up or a lot of times in my case, it just won't set at all.
Yeah.
So to have somebody like you is probably a good thing for fudge then.
Yeah. It's been, honestly, getting to experiment with doing all the different flavors and stuff has been one of my favorite parts of this.
It looks like you have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, yeah. It's been a blast. But like a lot of my fruity flavors, I'll use a little bit of extract sometimes, like with the creamsicle that I got brought for y'all, I'll use a little bit of orange extract.
Yeah.
Thing is, even as much as you make, as much as like a tablespoon of extract can completely change. Like it just won't set up. It'll just basically be liquid still, almost. Not chunky, but like mashed potatoes, where it just kind of like spreads out a little bit. It'll do like that.
Yeah.
And so I've had to figure out ways around that, and sometimes it's just like, okay, this just isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite to make or favorite to eat?
Those are two separate answers.
Okay.
So my favorite one to eat, have y'all ever heard of cola cake, chocolate cola cake?
I've been at Cracker Barrel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that was a thing at Cracker Barrel until I started making cola cake fudge. And someone was like, oh, like Cracker Barrel. I'm like,
Barrel, yeah.
I didn't know they had that, but yes.
I don't know if they still do, but yeah, at one point in time, because
Right.
they have a huge partnership with Coke. Yeah.
So basically it's chocolate cake, but you use Coke with it.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it mostly still just tastes like chocolate with a little hint of something extra. Like you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, this has Coke in it.
It's a little bit
Gotcha,
lighter
okay.
also because of all the carbonation and
Right.
everything. Yeah.
But so I made a fudge that's like that. And it is my favorite one to make. And I'm actually going to make it again this coming week. And I'm excited for it because I haven't done it in like a month and a half. So that's my favorite one to eat.
Okay.
My favorite one to make is my lemon blueberry lavender.
Ooh.
That sounds amazing.
People go feral for it.
That's also a lot of like different acids and stuff. Was that really hard to get where you could like, it would actually set, or is that pretty straightforward?
So, yeah. So the first time I did it, I was trying to do, I think it was just like blueberry lavender.
Yeah.
And it just did not set it. It didn't set at all. And when you tasted it, the blueberry and lavender didn't come through at all. It was just sweet.
Yeah.
Not even like, it was just sweetness was all you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet and soft.
Pretty much.
Lavender,
So
blueberry. That's what it looks like.
yeah, on my Instagram, I've got pictures of all of these if you ever.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. So the topping there has the little like flowers and stuff. That is including the glaze, another local vendor, Ellen Joe Tico. They have a French kiss tea, and I used that to make the French kiss, and it's got lavender in it, which is why I did that. But I made a glaze and then sprinkled a little bit of the tea on top itself.
Cool.
But yeah, so that one's fun to make. I was saying something else. Oh, the flavor. So
Yeah.
the blueberry lavender didn't work out, so I was like, actually had the idea to do lemon as the main flavor.
Okay.
To kind of cut the sweetness some.
Yeah.
And first try with the lemon, like it worked out perfectly.
Cool.
Yeah. And the purple there, anytime I do like the fruity ones, I actually get fruits and basically make preserves that I use with it. Either the dark chocolate ones, I'll actually blend it into the fudge. If it's not dark chocolate, I kind of like swirl it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even, it's going to be super nerdy. Just looking at the picture on Instagram, like it's good job that like your fruit doesn't actually sink to the bottom. Like it's actually towards the top.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Like that means like the weight of your fruit and everything in there isn't like overpowering the bar and everything.
Right.
You don't notice these things when you eat cake
I did
or bars.
not.
Yeah, if you can tell if like it's the weight of the ingredients can sometimes sink all the way to the bottom. So you kind of once you notice it, you're like, oh, intriguing. It doesn't matter. Like I'm still gonna eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. But like you just start to, if you watch a lot of British Bake Off, that's one of the things. Where it's like, oh, look, the weight of all the stuff sunk to the bottom, so you get like uneven bites.
Right.
I had no idea.
And you don't need to know. It doesn't.
Right.
It's still
Well,
good
if,
fudge, but
I mean, if it does sit to the bottom, does it? It changes the entire.
I think it's like
taste, so
I
yeah.
want consistent. Getting a consistent bite is something I always care about whenever I cook food.
Yeah.
Because I don't want this to be like, here's the blueberry bite, here's the no blueberry bite.
Yeah.
You don't.
Right.
You
Well,
want
it-
all those flavors to mesh together
I
at
do.
once.
Yeah. Well, and like if it sinks all the way to the bottom, like it can kind of make it like fall apart because
Weight distribution's off.
well, if you think like the baked fudge itself or baked good, whatever you're
Yeah.
making, is the binder effectively. If
Yeah.
if something's going
Thing
all
that
the way to
holds
the
It's the
bottom,
vessel.
it's now segmented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Learning all different types
There
of
you go.
things.
Yep.
I've learned so much from all the different people that we have talked to because every single person has something totally different.
Yeah, they care a ton, and they've like you've clearly put a lot of research and done some. You care, so,
Yeah.
and it comes through.
And I've read, I guess, one of the recipes is a family recipe, or a couple of them are family recipes.
So the base recipe, obviously not all the fancy flavors, but the base recipe I use for all of them is the one my grandmother made that she got from her uncle, who, going back to my name thing, I'm actually named after him.
Oh,
Oh,
His
that's
name
awesome.
was Weldon Cable.
cool.
So, yeah, that's why we say it's fourth generation, because I'm the fourth
That's
Yeah.
cool.
one using it, yeah. Obviously, like I said, the original recipe was just for chocolate,
Yeah.
but I've tweaked and done all this. But the base itself is still the same. Like, I'll just change the flavors that I use for it. And obviously, I add toppings and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I think my aunt makes fudge consistently. So that's who, like, whenever I was like, I want to try to make fudge, that's who I got the recipe from. It does feel different than just Googling, like, how do I make fudge?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the whole reason I learned to make it as a kid is I just wanted to eat it and didn't want to either wait on someone else or make someone else have to do it for me.
Very self-interest focused.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Man,
yeah.
I wish my grandma made fudge for me.
I think I learned how to cook because, like, yeah, you'd be home and mom would be like, hey, I'm at work. I can't make you food right now. So just don't burn down the house. See what happens.
Ramen kept me alive for many summers.
Buttered noodles and Parmesan cheese. That was,
You sound like one of my nephews.
I feel like my parents will still laugh. Be like, yeah, you would eat like a pound of noodles and then eat dinner afterwards. I don't know how you did that.
Oh, man. My mom rarely ever made any cookies or brownies or cake because I always had a problem with just consumption to where I would just eat it all.
Yep.
So it was a delicacy
Yeah.
for sure. But,
Portion control is definitely my problem.
yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
If this should tell you a good bit about my family. So my dad has a story when they were kids. They went over to their grandmother's house, and when they showed up, she had this line, "Oh, I wish I knew you were. I wish I knew y'all were coming. I only have 3 desserts." Oh, and my dad made up this one. I always like to eat a sensible meal, and a meal without dessert don't make sense.
That's awesome.
Smart man.
How do you feel living in Nashville so far? You've been here for what, like 4 years or so?
3.5 now.
3.5?
Yeah, actually.
Cool. How do you like it so far?
It's been a big change.
You also
Obviously,
moved before pandemic, so
Yeah.
literally weeks. So
Yeah.
we moved February 29th.
Oh, man.
okay, yeah.
3 days after we moved, there was a very large. Yep.
Tornado. Oh, man.
We didn't know those were a concern here.
Yeah.
We moved here, and we're sitting there like in the middle of the night, woken up by these sirens going off. My dad was deputy fire marshal growing up. I'm very well versed with like most sirens, police, EMS,
Yeah.
fire trucks, all that. I'm like, that sounds kind of like a fire truck, but it's a lot more loud. And and a lot more drawn out.
Yeah.
What is this? I was like, maybe it's something weather related. We both pulled our phones out and checked. There was no weather alerts on our phone. So we're like, okay, I guess.
It's a weird time to test that siren.
I was like, I guess. Well, I didn't even know that there was a tornado siren.
Oh, okay.
Which there was one like right at the entrance to our complex.
Yeah.
So it was very loud.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I was just like, okay, I don't know what this is. I guess maybe it's just a different fire truck or something. I don't know. I'm going back to sleep. And, of course, then I woke up and my mom had texted me, was like, are y'all okay? I'm like, yeah, why?
Yeah,
and then, of course, we found out what happened. And obviously, all the tragedy that happened with that.
Yep.
But, yeah, that was 3 days into our, Nashville experience.
Now, what part of Nashville do you live in?
Well, now we're living Donaldson.
Okay.
At the time, we were in Antioch.
Okay, so
Okay.
Antioch didn't get hit.
Yeah, you weren't that close to the actual damage, but still.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say, man, you were a deep sleeper if you were like in East Nashville and
Yeah,
you
so we were
slept
in
through it.
Donaldson whenever it hit. Yeah.
Right, yeah, no. We were in Antioch.
Because I slept right through it. I woke up to a whole
Same.
bunch of texts and emails saying
Yep.
help.
Yeah. That was crazy. So that happened. Then I think that after that first week, Ashley started working at the museum at the zoo, which she loved because she has an unhealthy obsession with tigers. So she gets to work at a zoo at a
tiger.
museum, and and it's a Sumatran tiger, which is her specific favorite type
Oh
of tiger.
wow,
She loves the smallest of the giant tiger giant
that's the
cats.
smallest.
Sumatrans are the smallest tigers.
Tiger talk.
Man,
Oh, if you want that, I'll call
That's
her up right now.
That's awesome.
that's a giant cat.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, so she was working there for about a week, and then I started my job. And I went Monday. Apparently there was miscommunication. There were several of us that started that day. They didn't have computers ready for us. So I sat there until 3:30 just playing on my phone, basically.
Oh wow.
Because, I think at 3:30 they finally got a laptop and managed to bring it to me. Like anytime you start a new job, there's all the trainings and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I'm just like, I guess I'll sit here and hope my phone doesn't die because I didn't bring a charger.
Yep. Yeah.
So that was Monday. Tuesday, I went in, worked at the office. They said tomorrow, Wednesday, we're all going to work from home because we're wanting to make sure the system can handle everyone working from home in case we do lock down.
Yeah.
Like people are saying might happen.
Yeah.
They're talking about
The stress tested.
Yeah. We might be working from home for 2 weeks, like they're saying. So,
Yeah. March 2020.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
What a time.
Yeah.
2
So,
weeks. 2 weeks. That's all we
Just
gotta
2
do
weeks.
is just 2 weeks.
Yep.
so went home, worked from home Wednesday, went back Thursday, Friday. That was the last time I worked in the office.
Yeah.
I've been back a couple times dropping stuff off, doing whatever, but
Yeah.
that was the last time I worked in the office.
Yep.
And from then on, it was working from home. And that was another fun change because it was like, oh, I guess I have to make like a little home office now. I'm
Pretty
going to
much,
have to, like, we just moved. Now I have to buy an office chair and desk
Yeah.
Yep.
and figure out where to stick it.
And also, are there any of those that are actually in stock? Because everyone else is doing the exact same thing as me.
I got it just a little before because it was before the actual lockdown happened.
Okay,
we
good.
started working from home, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks before lockdown happened.
Okay.
So I was just ahead of that curve
Yeah.
to where I was able to
I
still
think
get stuff.
My wife ordered an office chair because her company was like, yeah, we're fully remote, like especially now, no co-working spaces. Get yourself a good office chair. I think it took 4 months for it to arrive. And that was just normal.
Yeah.
Like in 2020, that's just what happened.
Yeah.
You found a deal on something, and then 4 months later, hopefully your chair arrived.
Right.
Yeah.
That was our normal back then.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, but the
being a
whole
dad.
reason we got talking about that,
Yeah, yeah.
Ashley, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
working. So that I feel like that's going to happen a lot. But yeah, so she obviously got let go from the zoo because they let go of almost everyone. They kept like the people that take care of the animals, and I think like grounds people just because like they had to maintain the grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the management, that was pretty much it. Like everybody that worked at the museum was let go,
Yeah.
from what
Oh,
I
man.
understood, because they didn't have the money to keep funding,
Yep.
Yeah.
to keep paying them. So that happened, and eventually she was like, she decided to pivot and be like, okay, well, since I'm still struggling to get into museums, especially now where like they've been closed and
Yeah.
like, they still don't have funding, she's moving to try to get a master's in. Well, right now she's getting early childhood education, so she can get master's in library science, so she can do like children's library and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then eventually she still wants to, because that's still I'm drawing a blank on the term, but like public education. There's a term. She's going to kill me for not thinking of the term.
Does she listen?
Oh, she's told me she's going to listen to this episode for sure.
At least one episode.
Yeah. Well, she listened. We're listening to the Phil one too.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So once she gets that, eventually she wants to pivot back into like museums and stuff. Because she eventually would like to be a curator, but you have to have your doctorate, and that
It's next level.
Yeah. That's a whole thing. But yeah, so
Like
right
a
now
curator for like Frist or something like that.
Who knows?
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could see her doing something like that, but I think she'd also be happy doing like children's museums or whatever.
Yeah.
So right now she's getting early childhood education degree, so that way she can move, pivot that into the library science.
It's like the track, basically.
Right.
You need this to do this, to do this. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So she's been doing that and also taking care of Ren a lot during the days.
What's your son's name? Ren?
So full name is Renan, but we call him Ren for short.
Where did Renning come from?
So we wanted to stick with the WCB theme.
Yeah.
And we wanted something a little unique. And honestly, we were just kind of Googling names, and we found Renan, which we think, from what we could tell, has like Irish backgrounds, which I am mostly Irish. I know.
No.
Red beard, freckles, pale skin.
You spend most of your days outside at farmers market, still this pale.
In the shade, very importantly.
Yeah, so you don't burn.
Yeah, my sister's full ginger.
Oh, okay.
And if my hair gets enough sun, it gets a red tint to it. So I'm like 3/4 ginger.
What's been I feel like you like pivoted into fatherhood to some extent. Like you had a kid, now you have like a business in which daddy is part of the name and everything. Yeah. Did you expect whenever you guys got pregnant that like fatherhood would be like, oh, this is so much of my identity now?
I don't know that I really even thought about that like that. It definitely, well, especially like you said, where I've got a business that's involving it. Not really. I mean, obviously, so I've got 2 nieces. Like I've seen some of it, but obviously nieces and nephews, like it's different when it's your own kid. Like you're watching them all the time. Yeah. Like it's just a totally different experience. So probably not, but I don't think I had any specific expectations going in. Yeah. I tend to not, I mean, any experience, you have some general idea, but I don't ever say like, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because one, like if I did that, I wouldn't be doing Fudge right now.
Yeah.
Like if you only say like, this is how things are going to be, you can miss other opportunities, miss all kinds of stuff. So,
yeah, you're like, I know I want to be a dad, and I'll figure it out whenever I get there.
Well, that's a story too.
Okay.
Our whole Nashville experience has been wild. So we got COVID right at January 1st of what was last year? 22? 22.
Yeah.
I have no idea what year it is.
It's fine.
But yeah, so we got COVID January 1st. She got it before I did. She got knocked down hard. I was more or less taking care of her while my symptoms were getting worse. By the time she started getting better, I was really bad, which I have asthma. It doesn't really act up much because I stay physically active enough that like because it's exertion based.
Okay.
Like it doesn't give me problems until I get sick or if I just push myself way too hard.
Yeah.
But obviously that was a big concern with COVID. Like,
just a bit.
Yeah. So when it started hitting me, like it really laid me down. Well, finally I started getting better. She was still getting nauseated though. And we're like, why is this still sticking around? Like that's not supposed to be one of the main symptoms.
Yeah.
Like you can get a little bit just from feeling bad. So we finally we're like, we go to urgent care to get checked or like, we're past the point.
Yeah.
Like
you go to the doctor.
The other symptoms are gone. Like and
oh no.
So they called her, they took her back. And this was at the time, like if you weren't sick, like you're not allowed.
You're in the parking lot in a
Yeah.
car locked with the windows up.
Yeah, exactly. And
with a mask on and gloves.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well-
That's how. But really, though.
Well, not so much in 2022, I
No,
guess.
yeah.
yeah, well, at the beginning, it was
Yes.
still kind of that way. But they took her back. While she was back there, her phone died.
No.
So yeah, so they went through the whole thing because they were like, so at the time, she had gotten off the pill and everything because we were planning on harvesting eggs because she had been told when she was younger that she wouldn't be able to carry.
Oh, okay.
As far as we've been able to figure out, like through the whole pregnancy process, the doctor that told her that was just blatantly wrong. But that's whatever.
Yeah.
So we weren't even thinking this was a possibility.
Yeah.
So she's back there. She gets called. They're like, we think you might be pregnant. So they got her to the test, and she was in there for like an hour and a half. I think I was listening to podcasts, doing stuff on my phone. I think I dozed off at some point because you're just sitting in a car staring at trees.
Yep.
Like,
And there's no time. There's no way to know like what's happening now.
Right.
What's happening next.
right. And like I said, her phone died. So she's mentally dealing with all this by herself.
And you're sitting there chilling.
Oh,
Well,
my
and she
gosh.
did say, honestly, like, not having her phone was probably the best thing. So, one, she couldn't Google stuff.
Yeah.
Two, she couldn't freak out, like, messaging people and all that. Like, she just had to sit there and mentally process it. She
Yeah.
was forced to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, finally, like I said, found out she was pregnant. It was like, oh, well, this is something we're
So
gonna
did
have
she
to figure
like
out.
walk, like have like walking over to you, and then as soon as she got in the car, she told you, or
Pretty much, she got in the car. She was like, so we need to talk. I'm like, that's not a good thing to hear when you come out of a doctor's office,
Yeah.
especially dealing with COVID.
Yeah.
And she told me, and it was just like, oh. And like I said, neither one of us were remotely expecting that. So, then I'm sitting there, like, trying to process, and, like, I'm just like, I thought that you were told this.
But
is,
you were told. But I thought. But I thought.
Exactly.
But I
Like,
thought.
it's like, ping, ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding.
And you're also like, I'm excited. I'm not anything in my tone that makes it seem like this is bad. It's not. I just didn't.
Right. I think I had the best. I was like, how do you feel about that?
Yes.
Like, I had the mental capacity to still, like, be like, I am here. I am acknowledging that this is a thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. And even that whole thing was a process because the urgent care made us come back a week later to do tests, and they thought she was 4 weeks longer along than she was. So when we went to get the doctor to the
OBGYN.
yeah,
Yeah.
we told them, we were like, they told us we're this far along, and they were doing ultrasounds and stuff. They're like, we're not seeing what should be, I think at the time, like a 9-month-old
Yeah. Or 9-week
or
old.
not,
Yeah.
9-week-old
Fetus.
And so that started a whole thing. It was like a month of us just being like, of stressing, not being able to tell anyone, because we're like, is this going to be viable? Because we were thinking it
Yeah.
might have been ectopic.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, your wife had been told, hey,
Right.
you can't. This won't happen for you.
Right.
So you're like, I'm not going to believe this is true.
Right. Like I said, there was just so much. So, like, for a month solid, we had to, as far as everyone else knew, we were pretending like everything, like nothing in life was going on.
Yeah.
Because we
That's
didn't
the
want to.
hardest thing to do too. I
Oh yeah.
remember
That first trimester, where like my life has changed, but I can't talk about it because
Yeah.
I hope maybe it hasn't.
Yeah, which, like I said, the whole fact that they were thinking it might not be viable because
Yeah.
all that. Which when they finally figured out what had happened, and especially which I don't know, there's so much to that story, but
Yeah.
people were angry at other people, like other doctors and stuff. Like, this should not have happened this way.
Yeah.
But it all worked out in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first month while we were, I mean, she was getting, like, every other day she was getting blood drawn and stuff for like a week, 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
It was,
But I do think there's a lot of realities whenever you get pregnant and have a kid. Like the romanticism of it, I don't understand.
yeah. Well,
Because that's the reality is you're like, I didn't know we could get pregnant. I didn't know any of this could happen. I'm excited. You told me this. We both thought this wasn't an option.
right.
So here
Well,
we are.
And she had a really rough one. Like, she was sick almost the entire time,
Yeah.
which for any potential dads out there, if if you have someone that's pregnant, C bands. They're these little wrist like sweat bands that go on your wrist. There's a little plastic bead. Also, if you have problems with motion sickness, that's what they're originally made for. But it helped. Like she went to sleep with them. She woke up with them. We had 2 pairs, so that way when one got dirty, she could take that off and put the next one on.
And if it helps, it helps.
It does. And as someone with motion sickness, it's also fantastic for that.
Okay.
Is it like chemical based or
Acupressure?
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like I said, it looks like a little sweatband, and it's got this little plastic bead, maybe like the size of your pinky nail, and it just puts a little bit of pressure there, and you wear it on both wrists, and it makes a world of difference.
It relieves tension in some way.
Cool. Whatever thing in the body happens, it
If it works,
yeah, exactly.
Haley was nauseous almost the entire time.
Yeah.
So that would have been good to have.
Yeah, we've had so many friends start getting pregnant since we did, and every one of them, I'm like, look, if you have more than a day of nausea, get these things.
Yeah.
Because I swear by them.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the main reasons why we started this podcast, is for knowledge like that of spreading it to other people.
Right. Yeah.
Is like, hey, I've gone through this. This is what I had to do.
This
might be an avenue for you.
Yep.
And actually, kind of relevant to this, just today at the market. So at the Nashville Farmers Market, probably 2 or 3 months ago, I met a family out there. They were just wandering around the market. They had a baby in their stroller, and I noticed the baby had 2 breathing tubes running to its nose.
Yeah.
And I saw them. I was just like, I think they stopped at myself. I gave them a sample. I was like, so how early was your baby? And they kind of got that cock their head like, how did you know? I was like, I also had a preemie baby. Like, I recognize all the things.
Yeah.
And I saw them a couple of times over the next couple of weeks, and I gave them a bunch of tips that I had learned and things like that. Just today, they were out at the market again today, and they stopped by my booth just to show me their baby. So no more tubes, anything. He's healthy. He was 6 months old today. Yeah. And they wanted to check on my baby. See, that's sweet. I was like, it was really one of those, this is just a very touching moment. Yeah. Through doing this, I was able to help some people make a real connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, also your birth story has some trauma to it.
Yes.
So whenever you're able to, when people can learn from your trauma,
right,
man, it changes it.
Yeah.
If you want to go super empowering speaker, it changes your trauma from something that owns you to something that you can then share. Yeah. And it becomes a communal thing as opposed to just something you wear.
Right.
Yeah. And for dads to know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
In that experience, they're like, oh man, for me, a lot of the depression, I felt alone at the time, but then hearing from other people like Sean, especially hearing other people have this, going through the same experiences as you, it helps.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird that there's so much power just knowing that something's been done before. Because whenever you feel like you're the first person to do it, which also is never the truth.
No,
in
it's
most
not.
scenarios. But whenever you're like, oh, someone else has done this before. Okay, cool. That means I can probably be okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to ask the first one?
Yes. All right. Did you have any backup names for your kids?
So,
or for your
kid.
Kid.
Yeah. So
I just read straight from it. I'm like Ron Burgundy.
I just read what the teleprompter tells me.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
So we did have a name. We picked boy and girl names before we knew. But like I said, for a boy, we knew we wanted to go WCB. And once we kind of figured out what we wanted to do, we stuck with that. We didn't have backup names because, like I said, the whole WCB being passed down, gave us
pretty cool
a framework. Yeah. So not particularly. And once we did the genetic testing, because with everything else that was going on with that pregnancy,
why not?
Well, especially starting with COVID and everything, we're we want to make sure if he's going to have problems, we're prepared for this.
Ready for it. Yep.
Yeah.
Also, the fun of your wife's first trimester starting out with having COVID
Yeah.
is like, I have no idea. Like, is everything cool? Is
Well, and that was
everything
one of the
good?
questions where, like, we've heard there can be some problems. They were like, this early, like, if anything, your baby will just have like an immunity to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And you're like, hopefully. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
You were saying that with a lot of confidence.
Yeah,
Right.
Haley had COVID probably the first week of pregnancy.
Yeah.
And it was like she had just gotten over everything. I never got it. I don't know why. I have asthma and was thinking the same thing, that I was going to get it and get it really bad and have to go to the hospital. But as soon as she like got over all the symptoms and everything, she like told me she was pregnant. And we were like, oh crap. All right, we need to do the genetic testing as well, because we were afraid of her having COVID and what that would do.
right.
And also, there wasn't a lot of data on what
Yeah.
it did. So
Yeah.
you're just like, I just want to know
Right.
what I'm in store for, so I can
Exactly.
be ready for it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So we found out he was going to be a boy, and like I said, we had the name, so
Cool.
didn't really have backup.
Makes sense. All right. Next question. Who's your favorite TV dad?
Okay, I've prepared for this one.
Yeah.
So Bluey, but it's not Bandit.
Ooh.
Is it Stripe? Pat.
Pat,
Because
Bandit. No shame to Bandit. Bandit fully commits to anything going on. But Pat, he's not even part of this family. He's just the neighbor.
Is Pat the wiener dog?
Lucky's dad.
No, Pat is
Oh,
Lucky.
Lucky's
Pat
dad.
is
In the
Lucky's
third
dad.
season, you find
Okay.
out his first name is Pat.
Okay.
Yes.
You learn his name, his wife's name.
Yep.
You learn a lot of the
Janelle.
I need a Bluey Bluey spinoff that's about the parents.
Yeah.
Like I would
be pretty
I
cool.
would love that. But so Pat, he's a neighbor, but like 2 episodes in particular. One is Rug Island, where they're playing with all the markers and stuff. Lucky and Pat kick their ball over, and they come over to get it, and Bandit ends up throwing a snake at, which is just a chain of markers,
Yeah.
at Pat, like, snake attack, and Pat immediately just boom is like fighting the snake.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another episode is when Chili's dad visits, and a similar thing happens. There's a toy crocodile, and they throw it over the fence, and it attacks Pat. And same thing, like just instantly. But like these aren't even his kids.
No, they aren't.
It's just the neighborhood. Like, and he's just fully committed from right then. And you see moments like there's the pass the parcel.
That's the
leper.
parcel.
Yeah, where he's like, no, we're not doing this stupid
Back
crap.
when I was a kid.
Like, this is the way we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one where
They-
he just totally screws it
Yes.
up and
Yes.
and
Every
makes
kid
every
cries.
kid
And makes
cries?
every
Yeah.
kid cry. He starts giving away his own kids presents at his birthday party. Can anyone break up 20? Yeah, it's a fantastic. And every mom is like, you wanted this.
Yeah, it's like you dug this hole. At
Oh
one point,
my
he calls for
gosh.
his wife's help, and she's like, "I'm not getting
I'm
involved.
not doing
This
anything
is
with
all
that.
you."
This is all on
But
you.
like, I can totally imagine any number of guys doing
Yeah.
this. Like, no, this is stupid. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I regret this decision.
Yep. My favorite Pat moment is in Asparagus whenever they all get turned into animals and Bingo and Chili get turned into lions and they go across the fence and they attack Pat. And as Bluey drags them off, he goes, I shouldn't have let my guard down. Because he's just full committed. He's like,
Right.
he just got attacked by his neighbors who were pretending to be tigers jumping on him. And as they got sent away, he goes, that's my fault.
Yeah.
I'm the one who
Yeah.
thought that this wouldn't happen.
Yep.
Same goes with the woman neighbor, the
Wendy?
white poodle,
Wendy, yeah.
Yes,
Wendy, yeah.
when he's
The-
like a goat.
sheepdog.
And
Sheepdog.
her
Yeah.
dad was a shearer.
Oh my god.
We're getting rid of this mullet.
Man.
Yep.
Oh, and he like rams her from behind, and she
Yep.
just turned. That will not happen again.
What I really love is your son isn't even a year old,
Oh.
and you're still here fully deep into Bluey
Oh,
knowledge.
as soon as he was born, like leading up to it, like everybody's talking about, because we're looking into like what shows are good to watch and all that. So Bluey's one. So he was born. I think this was, I don't know, a couple months after we started watching it, just so we could watch it, because we're like, we want to see what this is about.
What's it actually
Yeah.
like?
And I think we saw a clip of some episode. I can't remember what one it was, but it made us laugh. We're like, okay, we got to watch this show now. And it's one of those shows. it's great for kids, but it's great for parents
Yes.
too. Because there's so many little adult things that you don't catch. Like there's one, the Chili and Bandit are just dead tired, and they're like, "What's going on?" It's like at some point they mentioned that they saw. I think it was Trixie was like dancing on the table or something like that. And it's one of those things that, like, as an adult, you know, oh, it was New Year's.
Yeah.
They were having
It's
a
the
little
hungover
fun.
episode.
Yeah.
It's the whale watching episode.
Yes.
They both are laying there and they're like,
We're
please
not
just
moving.
watch TV. I'm so tired. These lights hurt.
As long as we don't have to do anything.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's
As long as I don't have to move or
Yeah.
talk or do anything but breathe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unicourse is another good one in which they finally they think they get the kids to go to sleep.
Yes.
And they're like, we got him. And Blue shows up at the top of the stairs. And he's like, do you just watch TV when I go to bed? And I'm like, we have that moment on a daily basis.
Yes.
Oh, man.
There's so many good episodes
Guilty.
from that
Yeah.
show. Like, I could just list so many great
Yep.
ones.
Yeah.
It's
But
it's great.
that would just turn this into the Bluey podcast.
That's fair. Almost every dad who comes on is
Let's-
like, Bluey's good.
Yep,
Yeah.
it is. All right. Speaking of kids shows or movies, what is your least favorite?
So they're not ones that we even watch. Like, we're like,
You
this
just know
will-
they exist.
Well, part of it, she did a lot of research, but also I have a sister that's 9 years older than me and has 2 kids.
Yeah.
So I learned through her a lot. Ones you've already heard, Caillou,
Yeah.
Yep.
Peppa the Pig, Max and Ruby, like all those terrible ones. We have a list of like ones that will
Just
not
a
exist.
no-go.
But it is weird. Like I feel like watching kid shows. I was always like, this one sucks. But now as a parent, I'm like, no, seriously, we're not watching this show. anymore.
Because you turn into a Hellcat.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do. Next question. You might not have an answer for this since Ren is so little. Do you have a favorite kid's toy?
So we've gotten a toy for him that I enjoy playing with. That
Yeah.
he's just too little right now.
Yeah.
It's a little piano, basically. It's just one octave,
Yeah.
C to C.
Yep.
And you can tap on it. I forget the brand. I meant to take a picture of it to show
it's
you
okay.
guys. But it's also got like these little sheets that it's got
Oh,
like
we've got that.
okay.
Those are
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
I enjoy that immensely.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing with him, so the little stackable cups that
Yeah.
you get.
Yes.
He is like Stitch in the movie Lilo and Stitch. If you stack them up, he will come over and destroy
Yes.
the tower.
Yep.
We did not teach him that.
No. Yep.
Like,
Does he smirk as he does it too?
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's instinct. It's like
Yeah.
this shall not stand.
Yeah.
I will destroy and I will make eye contact.
That was something me and Ada would do. Every time I'd get off work, I'd come home and just stack cups. And like we had all different types of cups and then blocks. And I would try to stack them
Yeah.
up as high as I could.
Before.
And then she would just knock them down. Now it's those big Legos.
Like Duplo?
Yeah.
Duplo,
Yeah.
yes. Haley just bought some, so I will just make massive towers out of them, and then she will just knock them down. Godzilla.
To me, the best part about that is you get to then do the over dramatic reaction to it,
Oh.
and then they're like, oh yeah, so you like weirdly positively reinforce it.
Right.
But like, it's also really fun. Yeah, I feel like I'll do that. I'm like, I'm building a tower. I hope it stands for the rest of time.
Right.
No.
Well, he's got a dark sense of humor already. Anyway,
Already?
like if you act like you're falling or any negative thing, if you pretend
Yeah.
something or if something does happen to you, he finds it immensely hilarious. Like he will just laugh and laugh and laugh about it.
Kids like slapstick humor a lot more than I anticipated before having kids.
Yeah.
Like I remember like watching like Looney Tunes as a kid and being like, oh, that's pretty violent. Someone just got hit in the head with a mallet repeatedly. That's not a good thing to watch.
Right.
And then you watch your kids watch it for 5 seconds and they die laughing. And you're like, I don't know. I'm going to probably not play this one again
Yeah.
because you got real too excited about violence.
It's like you think about Looney Tunes. It's like
Yeah.
yeah,
It's mostly violence.
the
all
old Looney
violence.
Tunes.
Yes,
The new
yeah.
Looney Tunes is weird, but yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
where
that.
like Wile E. Coyote falls off a cliff and like
For humor.
right.
Yeah. I accidentally blew myself up.
Daffy Duck got blasted in the face by a shotgun.
Correct. Yeah. That's the
I
punchline of a
I
joke.
still
in Looney
think that's
Tunes.
funny.
I didn't say it's not. I'm just saying.
Whenever you look at the joke structure, you watch your kid laugh at it. Be like, should I? It's I was
I'm
at a
proud of that moment.
I was at a kid's birthday party like a year ago or so, and there's a pinata, and I realized in the moment we're all cheering for a kid to hit something with a stick. We're all like, "You're a good hit," and I'm like, in any other scenario, we all go, "Oh my god, what did you just do?" But this is the time it's acceptable.
Right.
Apparently,
We confuse the crap out of our kids.
Well, life is
With-
pretty confusing,
Yeah.
so we're
A
prepared.
lot of different
correctly.
things.
You're going to get a lot of mixed signals in life.
Yep.
And I'm gonna tell you, I don't know.
Yeah. I did my best. All right. Last question. What moment of your kid's life are you most excited to be a part of?
So this one was the one that I struggled to come up with an answer for the most.
Yeah.
And I think I've decided on mostly his first, but any of his passions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that he really cares about.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, growing up, to be honest, I didn't have a lot. Like, I had things I enjoyed doing, but I didn't have a whole lot of passions. You know, I've played various sports and all that. Like, tennis was probably the one I enjoyed the most. I still love playing tennis. But, like, I didn't have a whole lot of things that I'm like, I need all my focus to be on this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, getting to see what he comes up with for that, I think that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. It's as your kid gets older, their personality develops, and you realize what brings them to life. I guess
Right.
is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, is there a way we can actually build this in? Because I want you to know that this is good.
Right.
Yeah. Good answer.
Well, if people want to follow you like on social media, here's your chance to plug your social media handles. Do you have
Yeah.
TikTok? Do you have Instagram? Do you have Threads?
Yeah.
Dude, I just got on Threads yesterday.
I'm going to eventually do it, but I haven't yet. I think Blue Sky is another one I've heard of.
Oh, really? Yeah.
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 So Instagram is fudge_daddy.
No.
There are 2 TikToks because we made one and somehow got locked out of it and can't get back into it.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
but there's not a whole lot of content on either one.
Okay,
It's
cool.
like with life, like we just haven't had a whole lot of time to dedicate to
Yeah.
doing TikTok.
You're just trying to make fudge and
Yeah.
show up to markets on time.
Right. Well, and I've never been a fan of being like the spotlight.
You didn't want to tell
Yeah.
us your first name at the beginning.
But like, I've never been one, like, I don't like the focus being on me. So
Yeah.
like having a camera pointed at like the TikTok, I'm just like, that's not me.
Yeah.
Like, so we just haven't done a whole lot with that. But the main thing is Instagram. Ashley does most of the posting on it. I'll answer like messages and stuff like that.
Cool.
But I am social media inept.
Okay.
So like I have it, I'll respond, but like I don't do any of the posting or anything because
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
I have like a personal Twitter and stuff, but like I don't really use it that much. Like I mostly just my friends, and surprise, I'm a nerd. I play Magic the Gathering. I've got a
Cool.
bunch of people that I interact with on there, but like that's
That's about it.
yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, looks like we can find you on Instagram so we can
Yes.
see what
Yeah.
cool stuff your wife posts for you on your
Yeah.
behalf.
Yeah.
And your
So-
website?
Yes, I do have a website. It is fudgedaddyshop.com, and the link is on Instagram there as well.
Sweet.
Right, I do have people pretty regularly asking, do I ship yet? And I don't yet, but I'm hoping to later this year.
Cool.
Also, it's summer. I would have to do cold shipping, and that's
Yeah,
expensive.
that's very expensive. And I wouldn't want to pay for that shipping
Well,
cost.
and I wouldn't want to charge someone that much because like the shipping would be more than the fudge itself.
It would be.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you want to spend $30 in shipping?
Right.
Do you want fudge?
Right.
That's how it works. Anyway, thanks so much for
Awesome.
your time.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's
Thank
been
you.
a blast.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really fun. Thanks, man.
Cable.
All right, thank
Thanks again for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Nashville Dads and to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify podcast. We record at New Light Podcast Studio and episodes are produced by me, Devin.